Oh wow, is that delayed? Or no, you're watching
I'm delayed.
it. You're delayed. Okay. Welcome everybody to our movie review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This is a last minute decision. I'm not sure if we were going to wait till next week, but me and Gabe both had a chance to see the fan screening that was 1 week early that Marvel put out, which I've been excited for. I had no idea they were going to do this. I think it's I think it's smart that they did this fan screening. I want to start off with first of all, um, because of the situation Marvel has been in lately, which is these movies are coming out, people are kind of lukewarm on them, and they really need something to get them back in the game. And I think they believed in that with Guardians 3. James Gunn certainly, delivers on that. And I think these fan screenings, which usually they never really do, they never do this like a week in advance, I feel like. But I feel like it was the right decision. And
They need to.
I felt like from a marketing wise, it really worked, and I really hope this one is the hit that they're hoping it is, because I think it does deliver. But anyway, how you doing today, Gabe?
I'm doing good. Doing
You
good.
excited?
I'm super excited for this.
Gabe went to go. He went to see it with Leo from last week from
Yes,
Evil Dead. You replaced me.
I did. I did replace you from the. You didn't even believe me. Like we had like a whole half-hour conversation of you like you didn't go see it. You didn't go. You didn't go with my uncle. I was like, yeah, I went with your uncle. You're like, no, no, you didn't. No,
There
you
was no
didn't.
proof. There was
There's
no
no
proof.
proof.
And then later I saw there was proof. I saw him
Like,
post saying,
why
"Hey,
why
it was
would
great."
like I don't know how to prove it to you. Like, why? I'm gonna take a selfie. Two guys taking a selfie in the
Take a
theater.
selfie. There's nothing wrong with
No.
that. Just take the selfie. Anyway, so we are talking about Guardians 3. This is non-spoiler. So if you haven't
Non-spoilers.
seen
So
it, it's just general thoughts.
I feel like we should just encompass all that is Guardians of the Galaxy because I feel like this at the present moment, I'm gonna say, um, Guardians of the Galaxy is Marvel's best franchise.
I would say so. I would say so. Bernie, what's up, man? I
Yes,
think
but
you're gonna have fun with it.
you're gonna have fun with it. You could stay with us all show if you want to. We're not gonna spoil Volume 3 for you.
Yeah, we're not spoiling Volume 3. We'll talk about what we like. Things that we have thoughts about, but overall, we're not going to be spoiling the movie at
No,
all. And
yeah, no, yeah, go ahead.
no, I was going to say I was going to piggyback off you. Yeah, I do think this is a strong I think it is maybe their strongest franchise. I can't think of one that has a linear vision like this, right? Like consistent director, consistent creators, everybody's involved,
No,
and they stay until the end.
because most of their movies are one and done, except the Thor with Tiki Waititi that did
Who?
whatever his name is. Tiki Waititi, whatever. Takai Waititi, whatever his name is. Whatever.
Tiki Waititi.
Whatever. He's from New Zealand.
Tiki Waititi.
Whatever.
We'll just call him different things every time we talk. Taika Waititi. No, but I get you mean. Taika Waititi.
And then his vision didn't even like the last one, Love and Thunder, right? It was just like, what the fuck was he thinking about with that one?
I don't know if he really had a vision. I think he was very much like, oh yeah, I'll do Thor. This seems fun. And then by the time he does Love and Thunder, there was no more juice left in the tank. He had used it all in the first one.
Right. So it's just like, and I sat down last week, right? And I did watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2. I did the End Game. I did the Infinity War. So like I sort of set myself up to see that. And what I love about this is the character arc everybody has. You see it from the beginning, from Guardians of the Galaxy, where we get the introduction to everybody, and then you get the final payoff in the third one. And it's just like an amazing arc. You and I talk about it. I'm sure when they did the Avengers Infinity Saga, I'm pretty sure that the brothers talked to James Gunn about it.
Yeah, and I think the real credit for me, like with those movies, is I forget their names. The screenwriters, not even the Russos. The Russos directed those, but the screenwriters who have done. They did Civil War, and then they also did. I think they did Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, and Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus and McFeely. I think I might be butchering their names, but those guys they wrote like 4 Avengers set films in a row. right? And they really did their homework and what was going to be paid off, what they're going to set up, and all those things. But we have to talk about it. James Gunn was out of the picture for a lot of this because of things online that he had said like over a decade ago. And then Marvel, kind of takes him out of it. They consider getting other directors involved. Also, Bernie, real quick, everybody had a chance to actually get the tickets to this. If you live near a major city, Marvel and IMAX had put out the tickets. They were really low key about it. They're really pushing that the 3 movie screening, so you could see Guardians 3 early Wednesday if you want. You just have to sit through 1 and 2, or I guess you could just show up for the 3rd one late at night. But this other screening, this fan event, kind of got pushed under the radar, but they paired up with IMAX and they gave away free tickets. You just have to be there early. I got there around 5:30. You got there around 5:30.
Yeah.
And you really only wait in line for less than an hour. You get in, you're good to go. I had good seats too. I don't know if you did. I had really good seats.
We got like middle aisle, which is you know what? Like as I get older, I feel like aisle seats are the way to be, just because it's quick in and out.
In and out
for anything. I used to be like middle or like back middle.
I hate the middle.
Like the middle seats, but all the way in the back. But then it's like you gotta like climb over people, and especially now with like all the reclining seats, like there's not enough space. So
no, I agree. It's the worst. You want to get out of there as soon as the credits or whatever it is, and take off. But
I've been sitting in the handicap seats.
What a rebel, man!
I know.
You're an outlaw.
Those are like the best though. They're like all the way in the back, and there's only like 2 seats, and then that's it.
Yeah, I remember my boss told me he used to claim those seats. Very weird. But anyway, James Gunn has been out of the picture. This script was written years ago. He had said that this was a very personal script to him. He was very excited about it. And then Guardians got pushed back. We should have seen this movie, regardless of COVID, we should have seen this movie in May of 2020. Right. 3 years after Guardians 2. So the plan was to release Guardians movies every 3 years and have it come to a close with Volume 3. James Gunn obviously gets in a little bit of hot water with some of the things he said on Twitter in 2008, 2009. And then he goes on, does Suicide Squad. Marvel gets him back to do Guardians 3. And thank God that they got James Gunn to do Guardian. And I want to put this out there. I love James Gunn movies. I'm in the back. When he's directing and writing something, I know that he's going to put his personal touch and care into whatever that is, whether that's Super, Slither, even the trauma stuff that he worked on and early in his career. He brings that personality to it. It's this handmade feel. And that's why these movies feel better than most Marvel movies, right? It's like most Marvel movies, as much as I like them, you could tell they're made by a committee, which the Guardians movies, you can tell they're made by one man. They're written, directed by James Gunn.
Right.
And also working with his actors in molding what they want to do with these stories. It's not Kevin Feige giving notes on all these things. There's a real vision. And I think before we start off, this movie also, another thing I'm really happy about after coming out of Ant-Man and really not liking Ant-Man 3, this movie looks really good, and it was amazing in IMAX. It's worthy of IMAX. And me and you have been talking about that lately. Fuck, we got Avatar. Avatar looks awesome. A lot of the movies that are in comic book films are the ones that are looking really good. And these comic book movies cost tons and tons of money, and you could just tell a lot of the effects seem like a rush job. Not in Guardians 3, not at all.
No, none whatsoever. And it shows in the quality of the work in this movie.
100%. This movie is the best looking Guardians movie. I thought maybe it was 2, but you know what? I think this one might look a little better. And what I love is, I told you this off camera, Guardians 1, it's great, but it feels like James Gunn restraining himself, or at least Marvel restraining him a little bit. Okay, you could go weird, but you got to do A, B, and C. And the way the script is written, it's very by the book. It's the Guardians team up. They have to find a MacGuffin. It's the gem or the stone or whatever, and they fight Ronan, and that's it. That's the movie.
Right.
But in 2 and 3, Marvel allows him to make these character hangout movies where it's sort of very loose on plot and heavy on character development and story and relatability. And that's the best thing about these movies. That's why they're so unique. That's what was so great about Suicide Squad, right? Like Suicide Squad is you're hanging out with these terrible, terrible villains who have to complete a mission. But what the mission is doesn't really matter. What matters is you falling in love with those characters along the way. And that's Guardians in a nutshell from 1 until Volume 3. And 3 brings it to a close beautifully, I think.
It does. It does. And I like the way that you say hangout, because really that's what these teams like Avengers and what Guardians should be. It's like you want, there should be characters that you just want to hang out with. There should be characters that you just want to like be around with, and that's exactly the vibes that I got from Guardians 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you point out something like the Avengers. To me, the best event, I love Endgame, and I think Infinity War is really good. I like what those movies are doing. I think Thanos doesn't fuck around. And I believe the cast, everybody brings their A game. Like they know those movies are these high stake things. Audiences are coming here for that big payoff. And that's what those movies are. They're a big payoff to decades of buildup. But to me, still the best Avengers movie is the first one. And it's because of the reasons I like the Guardians movies is Joss Whedon understood what audiences were coming for. We want to see these characters just argue and interact and have to team up and work together. That first Avengers movie has the loosest and lightest story like ever. It's the Avengers need to team up to stop Loki, and that's it. 90% of the movie is them arguing on the helicarrier about how they're going to work as a team. Like they hate each other.
Right.
Like Tony Stark is going at it with Captain America. Thor is going at it with everybody there, and Loki is he has his fingers in everything, and that's what I like about James Gunn. I feel like Joss Whedon, even though he's kind of a piece of shit, I think he understood that too. Like the best thing about these comic books, when you read comics, is especially Marvel, is you want to see these characters interact. This is soap opera. This is like you want to see them argue and go through things and have empathy. And that's what Guardians 3 is. I think Guardians 3 really follows in the footsteps of Part 2 of Volume 2 and doubles down on character, empathy, and heart. And I think this might be the strongest one for me, I think.
It is. And you said exactly like, what you're talking about, like hanging out. It's even with X-Men. Like I feel like the best comic book movies, even if you're not a team, right? And when you read Marvel or you read any superhero comic book, it's the hangout. It's like, yeah, you're there for the action, but it's like, oh, you're meeting up Wolverine at a bar and he's drinking himself, and you're just hanging out with him. He's talking or he's arguing with whoever, right? Or if you're reading, even Squirrel Girl, it's her just, hanging out before she's going and doing the actual action. Even Spider-Man, even with the movies when they had Ned, or even before that, before the Tom Holland ones and the comic books when he's just chilling with his friends and all this. And that's what, at the end of the day, right? Like my problem with Superman is he's not relatable. What I relate to with Marvel characters is how human they make all their superheroes. Yeah, they have so many extraordinary powers, but they're really relatable and you just want to hang out with them. I don't want to go grab a beer with Superman. I don't.
I think you will after the next movie.
Listen, I hope I'm wrong. And
I think if we're very lucky, James Gunn is actually writing that. I think this movie confirmed to me he was 100% the right guy.
So, but yeah, and again, Bernie, to go to your last point here, dude, I cried. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Oh, I'm not gonna even lie. Bernie, I cried too. I think if you love these characters, the movie gives you something to care about, and it's what we've been wanting from Marvel is but not everybody at Marvel is as good of a writer as James Gunn. But also, I don't think as much as I love Marvel, I love comics, and I love the people that work there that really do care about these things. There's very few guys in the industry that care about comic books the way James Gunn does. James Gunn is an encyclopedia of DC, Marvel, Dark Horse. Like this guy lives and breathes this material, right. And he also has incredible taste in music and a love for movies. Like he's talked about his love for like movies like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Which, if there's one movie that I think of that is clearly influenced over all his work, it's definitely that movie, because that movie is essentially you hanging out with Redford and uh oh my god, why am I blanking on there right
I
now?
can't help you with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I've never seen
Robert
Richard Gere?
no, it's Paul Newman. Paul
Walker?
Newman and Robert Redford. The Paul Newman. You know, you could buy his products in the grocery
His
store.
salads?
His salads.
His salad dressing?
But that movie is very much a hangout vibe with these characters as they commit these crimes and stuff. And he uses that in all his movies. And I think that's what you want. You want to be able to hang out with these characters, no matter what they are, who they are. You got to relate to them on some level. And I think he'll do that with Superman. I think your worries will be put to rest, because in the comic books, you do want to hang out with Superman. And
Really?
that I could name you so many, but the thing is, you won't read them. I could give you so many books that you could read. You'd be like, you know what? He's kind of a cool guy, but I'll just
who reads nowadays?
I'll let you wait to the movie, because I think James Gunn is really going to knock it out of the park. And I think a lot of people that have that issue with Superman will be put to rest. Because think about it, and not to talk about it for too long, because I want to keep going with Guardians. I think a lot of people feel that way that you do. And I don't think those Zack Snyder movies really helped. I think Zack Snyder had a cool vision, and those movies are amazing to look at. They have great special effects. But Man of Steel doesn't give you much to root for with Superman, right? Like, here's his backstory. Zod shows up. He's got to fight Zod. That's it. And like 90% of the movie is him beating the shit out of all these Kryptonians. So I think this next Superman movie, the way he's described it, is exactly what he's given us with Suicide Squad, with Guardians. Not like in terms of comedy and whatnot, but in terms of relatability. And I think you need that. I think Sam Raimi knows that with his Spider-Man movies. The guys who do Across the Spider-Verse, they know that. And that's the problem with what I think. I don't know about you, but to me, that's my problem with a lot of Marvel movies lately is I'm feeling very detached. And they're coming off lazy.
They are coming across lazy. And you know what? I think I'm just done with. And I know that this is the way, Blockbuster, studios are going, right? Is building franchises, building up. There's only one franchise I don't mind it with, and that's with Transformers, and we'll get that later. But with these superhero movies,
you need an ending.
Every movie feels like a step to another movie. Like you get it here, and it's a step to the next one, and then you get there, and it's a step to the next one. Like I get it, right? We got 10 years of phase 1, phase 2 of MCU until we got to Thanos, or what was it? We got 3 phases out of that shit.
Yeah,
and the first time around, it was exciting, right? But all those movies have heart. All those movies, even though they were stepping stones to Thanos, they still felt very much their own. After we got Thanos, right? When we got to like Thor, Love and Thunder, Ant-Man, Quantumania, all these post-Thanos movies, they just felt like stepping stones. They didn't feel like a complete movie. It just felt like we were watching something for the next movie.
Also, go ahead, Gabe. Finish your thought.
I was just saying, and with this one just felt like its own Guardian of the Galaxy movie. Like that's it. Like there was no stepping stone. There was no building to something else. You're just sitting there watching it, crying, laughing, being sad and happy, all at the same time.
No, yeah, it's a great audience film. It's super well made. Like it's like, to me, this is one of the best well made Marvel movies. Like it looks like, I can't describe enough. I just love how this movie looks, and it's a combination of real sets, CGI, practical effects, special effects. Like all of it looks incredibly good. Like it looks really well done, and you can tell the vision is 100% James Gunn. But you mentioned those early phases, and it's because they didn't give a shit, right? Like they're like, okay, we're gonna get James Gunn, and everybody's like, oh, James Gunn does these weird little indie movies. He's doing Guardians, and it's cool because it's kind of punk rock. You get Shane Black to do Iron Man 3, and people are like, oh my god, the guy that wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, that's awesome. You get Kenneth Branagh to do Thor, and everybody's like, Kenneth Branagh is doing Thor, the guy that does the Shakespeare adaptations. Like, it was interesting choices, and I feel like it all starts with the creative process. And everybody that we get now is like, yeah, sure, they're really good filmmakers, but it comes across as who can Marvel control so they can set up their next big thing.
Right. And that's
It's
what they
like
want. It's that control. And that's the
it's a
shit that
piece
I
of the
don't
puzzle.
want. I don't want control anymore. Just, get a good director, get them a good, writing team where even they could write them themselves and be like, here you go. Like, I get it. Kevin Feige at this point, he could do no wrong, right? He's the wonder kid, right? But you know what? At a certain point, he just needs to release control a little bit and be like, you know what? Here's your budget. I trust you. Do what you got to do. And it
Yeah.
felt like that. That's what he did with this with James Gunn right here. Just
No,
here,
that's what I
do what
want.
you do.
Like I want light interconnectedness, but for the most part, let these movies be their own movies. And that, thank God, that's what this movie is. And even like, I don't think this is a perfect movie. I know you love this movie more than me, but I thought that Doctor Strange, when it's allowed to be a Sam Raimi movie, those are the best parts of the movie. When he's truly allowed to unleash. When you have Deadeye Doctor Strange and the music scene where it's like a Looney Tunes cart, like all those things are awesome. And that's like I really enjoyed that stuff. And again, you get that stuff here. I want to go into details without spoilers. Again, this is no spoilers. We're not going to spoil anything. Um, I want to talk about my favorite bits of the movie, though. Uh, if I can, like, do it in broad strokes. Rocket. This is the best we've seen Rocket in the trailers. You guys already know, like, we're getting an emotional story with Rocket, and they do an incredible job. This movie has to juggle a lot of tones, and the first half of this, I was watching it, I'm like, okay, I'm really liking this, and it's a lot of fun, and it's beautiful, and I love these characters, but this can go one or two ways. He's juggling so many things, and so many things are happening. It can either fall flat on its face, or it's gonna end and it's gonna be beautiful. And like the way he does it, it works perfectly. Luckily, James Gunn is able to overcome a lot of the things in the story that maybe you could go, oh, I don't know how this is gonna work.
Right.
But Rocket is the heart and soul of this movie, and it really calls back to things they had set up in the first and second movie, things they hint at with his backstory that are played beautifully here, while also giving the other Guardians their moments to shine too.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if you go back, like I did last week, and you watched like every movie that the Guardians are in, um, I feel like Rocket's always been the heart and soul of these teams. Like, yeah, he's mouthy and he's brash and things of that nature. But when like it comes down to like fight, and it comes down to like put your big boy pants on, Rocket's really the one that's, in a sense, I would even say sort of the leader of the group.
Yeah,
I know we're giving Peter Quill, he's the leader, but and a lot of times it's Rocket. I feel like he's the leader.
no, I 100% have always felt that way because Rocket is, um, even though he is kind of like the hothead, right?
Right.
He's kind of like the Wolverine,
He's
right?
like Raphael.
Yeah, like Raphael or Wolverine, but you kind of get where he's coming from, and he's going to make the right decisions. And they give him a really soulful and emotional arc. Well, as much as you can for a CGI talking raccoon, but I'm telling you, it really, if you're
Call me
invested in these
raccoon
characters,
one more time.
if you're invested in these characters, this movie pays off a lot of the emotional beats in a really surprising and heartbreaking way.
Exactly. There's also another character I want to highlight, um, that I feel doesn't get a lot of play, but I feel like her character arc like started like so out of left field, or like started where you thought it would, and then it just ended way out of left field, and that's Nebula's arc.
Nebula, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, when we first see Nebula, she's like this warrior badass, like hell bent on killing Gamora, fighting for Thanos and fighting for what's his face in the
Ronan,
first
yeah.
Ronan. And then where she ends up here in the last one, it's like a complete 180 of her character. And like you could just see it as the movies have progressed, how much she's changed in that.
Yeah, it's interesting because again, not a spoiler because if you've seen all these movies, you know, Gamora, or at least the old Gamora, dies by the hand of Thanos. He makes that sacrifice, so that Gamora is gone. There's a new Gamora or a alternate Gamora that's in these movies, and with the absence of that old Gamora, Nebula has kind of become like the mother figure of the Guardians in a way. And she does have this great arc across all three movies and Infinity War and Endgame. And
Right.
they really deliver on it here. And that mother figure kind of like leadership role is really brought to a head. Another, I mean, we got to shout out Dave Bautista. You know, he's great in everything. I love him in Glass Onion and Blade Runner and Army
Knock
of the
at the
Dead.
Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin. The guy is just on fire. He is such a special talent, and he's so good at Drax. He's so funny, and you know, you kind of forget because they paint him as this dumb character. He gets these great emotional moments across all three movies,
Right.
and heroic moments. He's got to be one of the coolest superhero castings I've seen for a character that I knew about, and I've seen him in comic books, but really Batista injects so much of himself in there and so much life that it just makes for a great viewing experience. He's fantastic in this.
And like you said earlier, kudos to him because he was the first one that came out in support of James Gunn. He's like, you know what? If he's not in this, I'm not doing it. And like after he came out and said that, then Karen Gillian, who plays Nebula, comes out. She's like, you know what? I'm not going to do this either. And then the one that plays Gamora,
Zoe Saldana.
Yeah, Zoe Saldana. She they all of a sudden started coming out, but it was Batista's like, you know what? If James Gunn's not doing this, I don't want to play Drax anymore. And that's sort of like just changed Disney's mind. Like, you know what? You can't have your main cast say like, I'm not going to do it when you already had plans for Guardians 3.
You know, these are movies about family, and they're about trauma and about characters that
family
grow up.
Saying Fast and Furious family.
I guess they're similar, but they're ultimately about people that are kind of immature. That like their arc growing up. They've had troubled childhoods and all these things, and you know, you're watching them grow as characters. And James Gunn, he has that in most of his movies. You need him in this. You need that. I can't imagine anybody else directing this. I feel like his style has become so unique to himself. And I've noticed this in Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. And it's like this really almost it's weird. It's still space opera and weird trauma cartoonish, but it's shot almost naturalistic.
Right.
Like it feels very grounded, as grounded as you can make a talking raccoon and a giant space tree look. James Gunn does that
Exactly,
and the humor is at an all-time high here. Oh, also Cosmo is really fun, not used a lot in this, but I really like the use of Cosmo. That is voiced by Maria, what's her name? You knew her name, Gabe.
I know I can't pronounce her name, and I know I'm going to butcher it like I butchered Tiki Waititi.
Tiki Waititi.
Tiki Waititi. It's Maria. It's not Sharapova. It's like baklava.
I think
it's not a dessert. It's not the baklava dessert. Whatever. I butchered her name. Anyways, I'm just sad that she wasn't I know she was the voice, but she's easy on the eyes. It would have been good to have her.
She's a really good actress.
She's really good. And
Bodies. Yeah.
And Borat.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting she was in Borat. That's like her star-making role.
That was her star-making role. Was in Borat. It was Borat's daughter.
She was hilarious in that. So yeah, everybody gets their moment to shine. Nathan Fillion, of course, is a cameo. He's in the trailers.
That's an extended cameo. I felt like
that was his big. He has a deleted cameo in Guardians 2. I think it's on the special features. He's in the background as the character. They're making the show Wonder Man, which he's not even attached to, but I believe that's why it's deleted. He was Wonder Man on like a poster or something.
Right. Bernie, real quick. When you do see this movie, I want you to either tag Tony and I in your stuff and let me know about it.
Yeah. Of course. Let us know what you think of it, man.
Let us know what you think of it. How crazy emotional you got.
Like I said, they pay things off, and it's not in a fan service way. This movie doesn't do let's just do fan service or call back to things. No, it is pushing the narrative forward. It is pushing these characters forward. It is trying to do something. And I love comic book movies when they do something that's personal, and you could tell a filmmaker made it, and you could tell that the people behind it really cared about it, no matter what the content is. Again, these are movies about really weird-looking characters. I mean, there's a planet in here that's called Counter Earth that is about a bunch of humanoid animals, a bunch of crazy, weird things in this movie, but you need somebody behind the camera that grounds it.
I mean, nothing as crazy as Mantis, played by Pam Clementif.
You just butcher names.
I'm a fucking butcher of names. I'm sorry.
We're gonna send you to interviews and just you just tell these people everybody's name. Just tell them.
What's up, DiCaprio?
Hey, Tiki Waititi, I'm a big fan of yours.
Listen, if it's not a Hispanic name, I'm gonna fucking butcher it. All right, fuck. You give me those like Eastern European names. I'm just like fuck with the SLY endings and the K's. Fuck, I'm gonna butcher that shit out of it.
Tiki Waititi.
No, but she even we're talking about characters, right? Like, let's even play Mantis for a little bit because she's like the weirdest looking one, right? And also she came in the second one, so like her backstory is like super quick and simple. She's Eagle's daughter in a sense. Star-Lord's half sister, right? But you also get a nice story arc. You get a nice ending for her, they're
one that I wasn't expecting for her. I'm not going to spoil anything, but Birdie, they talk about this in the Christmas special. They touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know if you watched the Christmas special. It's a quick 40-minute watch. It wasn't even an hour.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Kevin Bacon's in there. So if you haven't seen the Christmas special, it doesn't add anything to like the lineage of Guardians of the Galaxy.
A little
bit, but not much. But it is still a fun watch. It's a nice little appetizer before Guardians of.
I will say, actually, if you see the Christmas special, there are a couple Easter eggs in this that tie into that. Nothing big. It's like background stuff that maybe you'll notice that are really funny.
Right.
I guess we should talk about the new players. The High Evolutionary. And I will butcher this actor's name, but he's a fantastic actor. He was great in Peacemaker. James Gunn brought him in after Peacemaker to be in this. And the High Evolutionary, I thought, was one of the best MCU villains in a very long time.
Yes.
I'm not going to count Namor because I think Namor lives on
anti-hero.
Anti-hero.
Yeah, he's a hero to his Mexicans and an enemy to his non-Mexicans.
Yeah, he's a strange one. I mean, as a pure villain, somebody that you just really want to hate, the High Evolutionary is that guy. I hated this character in a good way because of how great the acting was, the writing, he's one of those villains that not only believes he's in the right, like he's so like narcissistic that this is my shit. He's playing God essentially in this, and whenever somebody's playing God, I mean, that's not a good thing. And I think he is pretty terrifying.
Yeah. Also, Adam Warlock is in this.
Warlock is in this. Doesn't do a whole lot.
No.
Very good performance by Will Poulter. But
Adam Warlock, his name.
Will Poulter.
Yeah. You know what? I get him and Jesse Plemons confused all the damn time.
Why Jesse Plemons?
Because they're both white, shaggy blonde hair. Like I feel like they look the fucking same.
I wonder how Jesse Plemons would look like as Adam Warlock. But Jesse Plemons from Game Night.
Yeah, so you know Jesse Plemons, right? You Friday Night Lights, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's like I feel like they look the same in a sense. Like for a second, I was like, "Is that Jesse Plemons?" I was like, "No, that ain't it." And I was like, "Oh, that's fucking dude from."
Everybody goes Where the Millers.
With him,
I feel like.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's homie.
But I thought he was great. I mean, he looks good in the role, and what he's given isn't a lot. But he plays it well, and he's got some funny bits. I wish they did more with him, but they do hint at more is to come with that character. So hopefully there is.
I hope so because he's huge in the X-Men.
Yeah, I think there's things you could certainly play with. I don't think you get Will Poulter just for the one movie. I think you get him down the line and have him pop up in a few of these things. And the guy from Jedi Fallen Order, is that the guy? How's it going, Travis? Is that the guy that's in the Gotham show? He's in Shameless, right? That's him, Cameron Monaghan, right?
Oh yeah, he was in. I don't know if you ever see. He was in Click, the guy from Shameless. He was a little boy, like a little small cameo.
Is that him?
Yeah, that's him. The little redhead that gets hit with the baseball.
Aren't they? That's the McDoyles, right?
Yeah, he's one of the
O'Doyles. Yeah.
Latoya rules.
Right. I feel like that's in the Adam Sandler cinematic universe, those characters. So I thought Will Poulter was good with what he's given. I just wish there was a little bit more. But again, this movie's like 2.5 hours. So
it's long.
It's very long. There's only so much.
But it doesn't feel 2.5 hours.
It doesn't. And you know what? I wouldn't trim any of this because I want to know more about Rocket's backstory. I want to know what happens with Peter. I want to know what's going on with him and Gamora. And we should talk about Gamora a little bit too. I touched on it. It's not the same Gamora. She's not in the same spot that she was in the other movies. They do a lot of things I wasn't expecting. And I think because they were doing the unexpected, I was kind of really shocked. But in a good way. I like that they did something different with that character.
Exactly. I think they did a good job with her. Also, another, again, like I've mentioned many countless times in the last half hour, is every arc seems finished. Every arc is done. Like you don't. I mean, obviously, you're gonna leave the theater wanting. Like you want. Like I want more Guardians. Like I want Guardians 4 and 5 and 6. Give me a whole fucking MCU franchise of Guardians. Obviously, you want James Gunn to do it, and that's not going to happen since he's in DC. But, yeah, I want more. But the way that they ended it, I mean, I could be happy with how everything ended with Guardians.
No, I agree. And I think good movies should leave you wanting more, right? Like Top Gun leaves you wanting more. Avatar 2 leaves you wanting more. But a good filmmaker knows when to quit. And James Gunn knows when to quit. And I think Marvel's very smart in like, oh, yeah, we're not going to let anybody else touch these movies. Unless it's like a new iteration of Guardians with like somebody with a very specific vision. I don't want to see it. Like I'm good with these 3 movies. I think I've liked these 3 more than most people. I know you did too. Like I love Guardians too. I think it's in my top 5 MCU. I think it's got more emotion and character, and it just looks great. And same thing with this. I think this is at least in my top 10 of Marvel movies. I want to watch it again. I'm
going to go again Thursday when it comes out.
I think I will too. I think I'm going to go again. I know it's not for everybody, but I think James Gunn isn't for everybody. It's a very loud style. It's very, like, there's a lot of tonal shifts. It's sad. It's funny. It's emotional.
He's like a subdued Bay in a sense.
I guess that, yeah, maybe.
You know, because Bay has his own style, and he's very brash and upfront about what he's going to do. You know, we all know explosions, you know, titillating stuff. And Gunn is more like he's not as like fancy as Bay is, but he still has a lot of those elements.
A lot of his shots are very like he does a lot of 360s and camera moves, and like when he does the action scenes, he makes the action scenes look great. Like they look just the camera's in your face. But when the characters are interacting, it's more down to earth, and I like that about him. I like that he really just lets the scenes breathe, and you let characters just talk with each other about how they're feeling. And I think that's really cool. I'm trying to think of who else we haven't touched on. I mean, Chris Pratt is great in this. Groot was. They don't give Groot a whole lot to do, but the moments Groot has, he shines. Like the other movies, Groot isn't a character that says a whole lot. He only says 3 words. But Groot is great. Buff Groot.
Dude, Groot is like fucking jacked. Like Dave Bautista, bigger jack. Like he is just like fuck. Like he was benching. He was like working out in the off season, like ready to go.
Yeah, we which is crazy. We've had so many different kinds of Groot. We've had the original Groot. We have baby Groot. We have teenage Groot. Yeah.
Now we have 20-year-old Groot.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, this is just like really buff Groot. I haven't seen it, but I speculated the film would revolve around the Guardians going to Soul World through a Warlock stone in his head, having to rescue young Gamora's essence. Far from that. I think that would be a cool idea, but they really don't do much with Warlock. I think a lot of people should adjust their expectations with what they're expecting with that character. It's really good. Like Will Poulter's great. They don't really put the focus on him. But what they do put the focus on, I think, is really strong. And like I said, the High Evolutionary is a fantastic villain. The guy is just intense and like really just really hateful. He's a terrible villain. Just completely vile. without spoiling how Stallone used it.
Sort of like in the
Sparingly.
second one.
In the second one, sparingly. He's in there. He's having fun. Not a whole lot. It's just I think that's just the fun of seeing Stallone in these movies. It's just like, oh yeah, Stallone's in here.
He's ravaging.
Yeah, he's a Ravager, just doing the Ravager shit. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to tiptoe because I don't want to ruin the movie for anybody.
No, of course not.
I want to touch on the music. I think the music is so
different.
Late
90s, early 2000s, my era.
Yeah, he really I felt like this in 2 a little bit, but more so in 3. James is he starts to move away from the big obvious choices, and I feel like in the first one he chose a lot of big hits, like Jackson 5, Cherry Bomb, like he chooses like Joan Jett, all like things that you would recognize. But I feel like in 2 and 3, it's like maybe this is his personal playlist. Like these are songs that mean something to him. And I think 3 has a lot of great needle drops. There's one that I think, as a comic book fan, might go down as like, holy shit, that was a great fucking like scene. I'm not gonna ruin what it is or what it's used or what the song is. It's a pretty prominent song that's kind of popped up and stuff lately a lot, but it is used best here.
We finally get some hip hop.
I guess I'll say that we get a little bit of hip hop. I'll say as much as that. But I thought the music was great.
We get some Faith No More.
Yeah, we get really good stuff. I mean, the soundtrack's available right now too. You'd be able to check out a lot of Awesome Mix Volume 3. But
we get NWA, and we got like Eazy-E's little rap going. No, I'm just kidding. We get no NWA in this.
The way you describe it is, kind of, yeah. I would even say her role might be a little bit more. They might have given her a bit more to do, especially in that third act. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm not even shocked that I enjoyed this. I was anticipating it. Me and Gabe, we've talked week to week about how we're tired of certain comic book movie titles, just because of certain laziness.
We've talked about it. I mean, ad nauseum here on our show, right? How we're a little bit fatigued on superhero movies, especially coming out of Ant-Man and coming out of Thor. And
you saw Shazam. I didn't see Shazam.
Oh my God, Shazam! Really? Oh goddamn, Shazam! Fuck Shazam!
Black Adam.
Last year. It's been a lot of clunkers, and this was just like a breath of fresh air. Not like it rejuvenated me. By no means, I'm not. I need to see like 2 or 3 back-to-back awesome comic book movies for me to like be rejuvenated, right? I know our next one is Flash, which I'm excited but not excited because I know it's Ezra Miller and his fucking problems. But from everything that I've seen and everything that I've been hearing about Flash, it's like I want to get excited, but then it's like Ezra Miller, and I'm like, fuck. But
I have not heard one bad thing about that movie.
Right.
Like all the reviews.
Like Tom Cruise is out there fucking buying gifts to the fucking cast of The Flash because he's fucking loved that movie so much. Like, I'm like, fuck. And I saw the trailer before the movie began for the Marvels. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm like, that's like, listen, I liked Captain Marvel. I wasn't one of those guys that just hated it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Yeah. It was fine. I enjoyed it. I see this trailer for the Marvels, and I'm thinking to myself, no. Like, I'm going to see it because I'm going to see it.
You don't like the Freaky Friday approach?
I don't. That's been done so much, and I don't know if I don't need to see it in a comic book movie. And there's like, listen, I like Brie Larson. I thought the show Miss Marvel was just okay. I mean, I finished it. I just thought it was okay. It wasn't nothing like, oh my God, you gotta go and sign up for Disney Plus for it. Right. Monica Rambeau, she's fine. I mean,
I think out of those 3, I like her the best. I really liked her in WandaVision.
She's good in WandaVision, but again, it's just like, I don't know. I just don't know how you do a whole movie about that.
I will say those 3 characters don't have the most like in your face personality, right? Like I get what you're saying. The Guardians have such a like everybody's so unique and different, and like the Marvels, I think they're all very good. I think Brie Larson's a great Captain Marvel. I think that's as good of a Captain Marvel as people are gonna get. To guys that complain and they're upset like Captain Marvel is their favorite character ever or some shit. Like, That's as good of a Captain Marvel as you're
you know
gonna
what? And
get.
let's just break it down, right? Let's fucking be real, right? We've been real on this show before, right? Let's just fucking do it now. The reason why these guys are so fucking upset about it is because it's not only the shit that she said, right? And I don't really care about what she says. I'm whatever. It's because her costume choices, right? She legit came out and like, oh, we have to change your costume because it's too revealing. It's like, yeah, like, you know, you got to see who you're making these movies for, right? You're making them.
Most comic book, like in the comics, they look like fucking porn stars. Like Scarlet Witch looks like she's a porn star. Like
Right.
in the movie, the Scarlet Witch, you know, they give her a really cool outfit, and it's Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah,
and
she looks badass.
You can't do the things in the comic books because you have guys like Todd McFarlane and that like really like let's give her big tits and all these things. But you don't want that in movies, and
you don't want that. Like you don't want fucking like Melina and you know, Katrina from fucking Mortal Kombat fucking fighting and like barely anything. Like what the hell? Like that's not realistic. And so what
it sounds like you wanted that.
No, I don't want that. I'm just saying why people didn't like Brie Larson.
No,
what she said.
No, I don't even understand. Like all these years later, I still don't understand what exactly they wanted from her, or what they're upset about with her. I'll never like. I don't get the point of view or what exactly it is. I don't care to. She's an actor. She's playing Miss Marvel. I think my issue with those movies is they just seem fine. Like there's nothing really there that like I really gravitate towards. That was never a character I really cared about. But I think the Marvels, I will say it looks lively, and there's a lot of cool set pieces in that trailer that look like fun. I thought the show Miss Marvel was cute. It was not my favorite out of the Marvel shows. No. But then again,
you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of like a Disney.
I'm one of the guys that likes She-Hulk, so
you and me both like She-Hulk a lot. But the show Miss Marvel reminded me a lot of like a Disney show, like a Lizzie McGuire type of show from back in the day.
Yeah, really, like one of those Disney like teen dramas, which I know that was the appeal for a lot of people. They said it did feel like that, and they liked it for that reason. To me, just like it was cute, like nothing really like, oh, this is must see. I like to what you said, like this is must see television or some shit, right?
Right.
But that's one thing I'm going to miss out of these James Gunn movies is that James Gunn is the star. You're seeing these movies for seeing his friends and the people that he likes working with assembled together to make a really great piece of film. Not just comic book movies, but because he's shown he can make non-comic book movies, but a really great movie. And that's why Guardians 3, I think, works, is that it's just, bottom line, I think it's a really, really good movie that has great emotional investment, great payoff, doesn't rely on nostalgia or Easter eggs or fan service. It is just, hey, you like these characters, you want to see the evolution of these characters, then come see this movie because we're going to deliver that.
And he delivered in spades, man. It was just great. And Travis said 5-6 years ago, film franchises acknowledging TV shows books was unheard of. Now you can't watch Mando season 3 without Boba Fett's show, and you can't watch Captain Marvel 2 without WandaVision.
Yeah, and that's my problem lately too, because I haven't watched Mando season 3. I haven't heard the best things about it, but I didn't watch Boba Fett either. I did watch Andor. I thought Andor was good. I know a lot of people are big on it, but that's been my issue lately with a lot of these shows and movies is that you need, like, oh, you gotta like watch this in order to watch this. You gotta watch this in order to watch this. I don't like movies that are homework. I want to just come into a movie and watch it. Like, I think even great sequels should work that way, right? Like Spider-Man 2, it gives you everything you need to know about Peter Parker. You don't need to watch Spider-Man 1. You can just watch the second one.
Right.
Batman Returns, you don't need to watch Batman 89. You just watch it. Like, I'm using the comic book examples because those are, like, they do their own thing. I would even say X-Men 2. You don't need to watch X-Men. Just you could put on X-Men 2 and then that's it. I think we really need to get back to that. If these movies are going to survive and, like, audiences, like, if they don't want audiences to be fatigued by them, we need to move away from, hey, you got to watch this in order to watch this. That's how Ant-Man felt to me. Like, the post-credits of Ant-Man is hyping up a TV show.
It is, and like you said, it's starting to get to feel like homework, which was cool for like the first 3 phases of the MCU when we get like the huge payoff with Endgame. But now it's like, what's the payoff? Like, and what's the payoff, right? What's our payoff now?
What payoff can be better than Endgame? Like that's the thing I don't understand with a lot of comic book fans is like, like if you still love these movies, I mean, yeah, what that's fine. I'm still going to see them. I still pay to see them.
Right.
I hope to enjoy them each and every time.
What's our payoff?
What is our payoff? What's
For
our emotional
phase
payoff?
4, 5, and 6? Like phase 4, 5, and 6. What's going to be our payoff? Is it fuck? What's his name? The bad guy from Ant-Man.
King?
And King. Is it King?
It can't be King, or at least it can't be the Jonathan Majors gang anymore. It's gonna be some other actor.
Well, no, I know, but like, let's just keep aside the fact what Jonathan Majors did, right? Is it Jonathan Majors King? Is that our huge payoff for 4, 5, and 6 phases? At the end, they're gonna all fight the bad King. I said this coming out of Ant-Man, and I said it to you, and I don't feel like he's on the level of Thanos. He's not. I don't feel like he's a big movie bad guy like Thanos was. He's a good bad guy for TV show like Loki. Like he was good for that. I just don't see King as a big bad guy for 4, 5, 6 phases of MCU.
No, I agree, and that was my major issue with that movie. It was like I just didn't get the threat. I don't even feel threatened by King. I would like Thanos. The moment you see that post-credit scene of the first Avengers movie, you go. Not comic book fans go, oh, who the fuck is that? And the comic book fans know who that is. They're doing Thanos. Like, how are they going to pull that off? And then they do pull that off because they get a great actor in Josh Brolin. You feel the threat of Thanos lurking in the shadows
all the time, just lurking.
And the first time he gets any big screen like full on appearance, he comes into frame, beats the shit out of the Hulk, and lets you know I'm here to fuck shit up. And those movies did a great job of that because Thanos is essentially the main character of Infinity War and Endgame. It's his story arc. And I don't feel that with Kang at all. I felt more like the High Evolutionary, I should be afraid of that guy. Because that guy has a crazy mind, and he likes to do crazy mutation shit. What the fuck is Kang doing? Like, there's different versions of himself. Like, all right.
Right. Fuck, even if they didn't focus on the big bad guy, I mean, like they've been having X-Men for so long now, that even if they just did like phases of 4, 5, and 6 that eventually led into like an X-Men world, like I would be okay with that. Like I'll be like, oh shit, like we're 4, 5, and 6 phases are leading me to like the X-Men.
The evolution of X-Men.
The evolution of X-Men. I would be so fucking hyped for that. But they're not even giving us that. Like
I would be down for a proper adaptation of X-Men. I like the X-Men movies. I think some of them are even great, like Logan or the Wolverine, X-Men 2. But we have not gotten a tried and true, real, from like Chris Claremont comic book style X-Men movie. Astonishing X-Men, like we haven't gotten that, and I think Marvel can deliver that, but you need the right filmmaker involved. You really need great writers and stuff. Who knows if they'll do that?
They do, because here's my problem with X-Men, right? It's the first original 3. They focus so much on Wolverine, and I get it. Wolverine is everybody's favorite.
And we're getting X-Men. Him again. As much as I love Hugh Jackman, and I'm excited to see him back in Deadpool 3. Part of me is just like, why didn't we just recast? Like there's a little part of me that's like, man, maybe they should have recasted. That way we could just get on with the next phase of what these movies are supposed to be.
And then the Days of Future Past X-Men's with... then they shifted that main focus from Wolverine to what I would consider in the comic books to be like a side character in Mystique. And I get it. You got Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Strange choice.
You want to promote Jennifer Lawrence, right? But Mystique, to me, from like the cartoon, like the 90s cartoons to like the comic books in the 90s, like Mystique has always been like a side character in a sense, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong,
I think you're the right, because I think when I think X-Men, like
a new X-Men movie, you need to play it like they played Guardians and give everybody their time to shine.
They need to go back and go back to these characters and make them relatable. I would do like Jubilee or Rogue and have the X-Men established, like just like the animated show. Like Jubilee was used to show these characters that were already established. I think you can do that. But But I don't know because I also think Marvel should have went straight to Doctor Doom. They should have. I don't think. I mean, I think they should have went to Doom.
Dude, listen. If you're doing phases 4, 5, and 6, and you're telling me the big baddie is Doctor Doom, and then as soon as Doctor Doom comes in and fights the current iteration of whatever, I butchered the fuck out of that word, of the Avengers, and then like phases 6, 7, and 8, we're talking about the next set of Avengers, and then we go on with Fantastic Four, yada yada yada, X-Men. That I'm hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not hyped for King. Like, fuck that.
No, and it's so weird. That's the one thing. It's weird. I've always thought about this is like Doom is considered amongst many the greatest comic book villain of all time. He's done some crazy things. He rules his own nation. He's the big inspiration for Darth Vader, and we've never gotten a proper adaptation of Doctor Doom. We've gotten a so-so, kind of bad, really bad adaptation of Doom in 2005 and 7, and then we have Doom again in the 2015 movie, and that's it. Like, we don't have a real Doctor Doom. You would think Marvel would really push that now that they have those characters back. But yeah, outside of Guardians, I'm really happy with Guardians, but I'm with you. It's just like, this does not mean anything. Like, this is just a really good movie delivered by a filmmaker who's shown us that they can make really good movies. I don't know what Marvel looks like outside of James Gunn.
Right.
Because, like, to tell you the truth, all of his movies, I think, have looked really good, and I really enjoy them. But yeah, like, I couldn't tell you a prominent filmmaker making Marvel movies outside of him, like right now. Jon Favreau isn't there. He's there as Happy Hogan. That's it.
Right. Yeah. Like he's out of that world now. He's more into Disney Star Wars world now.
Yeah. I like even John Watts, who does the Spider-Man movies. John Watts doesn't have a style or anything, right? Like, there's nothing really like tells me, oh, this is a John Watts movie. Those Spider-Man movies, as fun as they are, they just look like they're shot in Atlanta, and it's just like that's it.
ATL.
Like, they're shot in ATL. But those are really pushing like Tom Holland and like the casting of those characters and you falling in love with that, but not so much the personality of the filmmaker.
Right.
So like it's a big loss for them because now DC gets James Gunn and he's planning out an entire slate of movies and directly involved in all those movies. And Marvel doesn't have that guy. Like they like Kevin Feige for sure, but there's only so far you can stretch an architect like that so thin as you're asking him to create.
Which he's already said. He's like, I'm stretched too thin, and you could tell the quality in Marvel has gone downhill since after Endgame.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. But I think if you're excited for Guardians, I think you should see it. I really enjoyed it. Like I really loved it. Honestly, I'm not going to try to downplay it. I think, again, it might not be for everybody. It gets really dark, kind of depressing and emotional, a little emo. But for me, that worked, and I thought that it was a big payoff, man. I feel like normal audience members wouldn't realize Kang was the next big bad after seeing Quantumania. He went out like a typical villain. So if they drop Major, some people would notice. I feel that way too. I feel like the recasting of Kang, if they do that, I don't think most audience members would care. But what I would like moving forward is if they're going, 100% they're going through a Kang. It's the title of one of the fucking Avengers movies. But if they are going through a Kang and that iteration, just like, I need something. There needs to be something there that's showing me the level of threat. Like, I know there's people that love Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and they point to, like, well, he beat the shit out of Ant-Man. It's just like, yeah, but anybody could beat the shit out of Ant-Man. Like, he's not properly trained in how to fight. He had, like, maybe a training montage in the first movie, and that's it. But I don't know.
I mean, he's big, and then he, like, gets small, and then, like, that's it.
Yeah, there's nothing about that villain that's really, like, or that iteration of the villain.
And if we're talking about Ant-Man, what really made Ant-Man for me in like the first two movies is like not taking away anything from Paul Rudd, because Paul Rudd's a great actor, but was his criminal friends. It was T.I. and fucking Michael Pena and Damian whatever.
Yeah, another name that you're gonna butcher.
Another name I'm gonna butcher, but like that crowd that he had was really what made those first two Ant-Man movies. And then you take that away from Quantumania, and you're just left with Paul Rudd and again, great actors, right? Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer. But Ant-Man needs his buddies. He needs his homies.
But the thing is, that movie baffles me too, though, man, because they all look bored. They all look very bored with the material and that movie, and they're just standing around. They're not really like.
Because I think Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer are bored. Listen, they're great actors, right? And I also say they're great actors, but besides these Marvel movies, when's the last time you see Michelle Pfeiffer in anything? When's the last time you see Michael Douglas in anything? Like they're right now it's just Marvel movies now. And not to make our show longer, I know we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, but we've said it, movies have changed now since the pandemic, right? They're making many different types of movies. So I'm hoping somebody sees these and it's like, you know what, let's give Michelle Pfeiffer another chance to do something cool. Like,
she's one of the greatest actresses ever.
Right. Let's give Michael Douglas some cool stuff to do now again.
Also, scratch that. Michelle Pfeiffer was actually the best part of Ant-Man 3 for me. I thought she was great. Michael Douglas looked bored. Evangeline Lilly looked bored. The recasting of Cassie, I like that actress, but it just doesn't make sense. Why didn't you just use the casting that you had from the previous movie in Endgame? But anyway, I don't want to rip on that movie. I think that movie was everything I have an issue with Marvel movies lately, which is just, I don't know, just pure laziness. Let's shoot this in Atlanta on a soundstage and we'll figure it out later.
Right. Like right now, do you have this movie called 80 for Brady, right? With like Rita Moreno, James Fonda, Lily Tomlin, Sally Field.
Do you want them to join the Avengers?
No. What I'm saying is like for Michelle Pfeiffer in that sense, right? Like, so you have these old ladies now, and there's another old lady, like Super Bowl meetup. I think it's called the Book Club or whatever.
Oh yeah, the Book Club. Yeah. There's like two of those movies.
There's two. This is like the second one. Like, there's a crowd for that, right?
People make.
Hey, listen. Jane Fonda and Rita Moreno could still get it in their 80s and 90s. I'm just saying. But there's got to be something now for somebody like Michael Douglas, or who doesn't have his leading man good looks anymore, but there's got to be something for Michael Douglas. There's got to be something for Michelle Pfeiffer, except instead of them just like sitting around waiting for your next Marvel movie.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I really like, even Bill Murray looked bored.
Bill Murray looked bored. But Bill Murray
man.
has his own issues. Like, Bill fucking Murray, whatever, but his shit that's gonna come out recently as well. It's fucking wild.
There has been a lot of stuff with Bill recently. He's always been a crazy guy though. It's just crazy how post-pandemic most studios and franchises have risen while Disney just dropped the ball. Pixar, MCU, Star Wars have all been widely hated, while horror, JW, Mario, are all thriving. Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you make a good point. And I think like Paramount thriving, Warner Brothers getting back in the saddle, Sony getting back in the saddle. Like, I think Paramount and Universal right now are the best studios making movies, because they understand, okay, let's make smaller movies, let's also make big movies, and let's find a way to nurture and voice filmmakers. John Wick ruled. No, you're right. John Wick really understood the assignment of how to do a franchise, right? Paramount talked about this, and Universal did too at CinemaCon this past week, where they talked about, hey, we want to like do sequels, but like we got to make original movies, because if we want to make new franchises and make audiences care, we have to make original movies, and they'll still go see sequels and all these things. I think Disney will get back to that, especially with Bob Iger back as chairman. I think they'll get back to those things. I think Disney Wish is like a safe bet. Like, it looks very like classic Disney, like nothing like that breaks the mold, but it looks like a movie that they might need to really get people back in seeing movies at the theaters for them, because they've been really relying on that Disney Plus, and Bob Iger has really come out and said, like, it doesn't really, as good as that is, it's not going to be as good as bringing people to the theater to see these movies.
Yeah, because there's like what's the Stranger Times. I haven't seen it. I know it came out last Thanksgiving. I still haven't seen it. But I didn't feel like I needed to go see it at the theaters, because within a week it was going to be on Disney Plus.
I think it was like 2 weeks it was on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Right.
But even like, I was kind of disappointed in Lightyear. Like, I thought Lightyear was kind of lackluster too.
Right. Elementals looks pretty decent. That's coming up.
That new trailer was really good, I thought. There was a new trailer. I don't know if they showed you guys the trailer for Guardians. Yeah, I thought that trailer was really cool.
So I mean, it's Pixar, right? So hopefully, fingers crossed, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, and then we're talking about studios. Universal is has another $1 billion coming up with the Fast and Furious 10. That's going to make $1 billion.
It's gonna make a lot of money. Post
It's
pandemic, it's gonna now.
and then they have another $1 billion because I'm calling it right now. Write it down. Transformers. That's going to make $1 billion.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I know so because okay. So we're talking about, and not to get back on the Transformers hype train like I've always been, but I'm always on this train. I feel like you could watch the first 3 Transformers, right? The first 3 with Shy, and that's its own separate universe. And you got 2 with Mark Wahlberg, which you don't necessarily need to watch the first 3. Like you don't need to watch the first trilogy to watch the 2 Mark Wahlbergs, right? Because they mention stuff, but you just don't need to see
it.
Kind
of soft reboot with those soft movies.
Reboot. Yeah. And then you watch Bumblebee, and you don't need to watch the first 5 with Bumblebee. So if they keep on going like that, you don't need to watch not like this Transformers one's coming up. You don't need to watch the first fucking 5, 6 movies.
I get what you mean. I don't know if it'll hit $1 billion. I feel like Bay had the juice. I don't know what it was about Bay. Bay just was able to even the shitty ones, down the line, even the ones that people are like, I don't like those. The non-Shia ones, those still made a ton of money. It's kind of, I don't know if Beast Wars has it in, it would be
does.
Cool. I don't know though.
It does. Listen, here's the thing, right? You gotta take it from me. I'm close to fucking 40 years old.
Especially Paramount has not been promoting that movie. At all.
I am close to 40 years old. All right. I remember Beast Wars in the 90s. All right? I watched Beast Wars religiously in the 90s. You're gonna have a whole bunch of guys near in their 40s, mid 40s, whatever. The age range that people like. We're not the demographic anymore, right? I'm not 35 years and under. I'm no longer anybody's demographic. But for Transformers Beast Wars, I'm their fucking bread and butter. All right. So you're gonna have Predacons and Maximals with Optimus Prime.
What the fuck are those?
That's exactly. They're gonna be. That's where they're making $1 billion. It's my age range that's gonna make it.
I wanted to touch on Jay. You said Indy 5 might be that surprise hit Disney needs. You might be right. I think Indy 5. The only thing about Indy 5 I will say is I think Indy 5 looks great. I'm really excited. Those trailers have brought tears to my eyes. I love that character in those movies so much. You're gonna be there. You'll be there seeing it. I think James Mangold is awesome. I mean, he made one of my favorite cop movies in Copland. I really do think James Mangold is a fantastic filmmaker. But when it comes to Indy 5, I feel like there's a lot of people that are, I don't know, like fans have kind of been lukewarm on it. I don't know why. Again, they listen to the rumor mill. They go, this is woke. And they cry about it, and then they don't go see the fucking movie. But I think a lot of general audiences are really going to turn up for it. Much like Top Gun. I think Top Gun was able to get that general audience. People that just wanted to go out and see something they loved as a kid back on the big screen, but in a new evolution of it. I think Indy 5 will do that. None of the indie movies have cracked $1 billion. I don't know if this one will. I could see it easily doing $700 to $800 million. Not sure about $1 billion. If it does do $1 billion, it's that Top Gun effect for sure. But Kingdom of the Crystal Skull did I think easily $700 million. So who knows? I think the trailers have been great. The marketing's been pretty good, and we'll see some reviews. I think within the next few weeks for Indiana Jones at the Cannes Film Festival. So, Curious Jojo says, I'm excited about the new film. I'm just scared it's not going to get the promos it deserves. That's the thing I was thinking about, Gabe, is I think Transformers, it looks fun, but it hasn't been getting promoted partly due to Paramount kind of feuding with the director over there. They both have different cuts of the movie.
They have different cuts of the movie. I've heard that they had 20 different editors on it, and it's usually a sign of trouble. I think I told you off camera in our messages. I was like, when in doubt, you go with the director's vision, right?
You know what's crazy though is they've been I think they're so scared of the effect of Bay because they gave Bay complete freedom on those. Those movies look like Michael Bay movies. They're written like Michael Bay movies. They're shot like Michael Bay movies, and they're long like Michael Bay movies. And I think since Bay, they've been so no, we need people to take Transformers somewhat seriously because Bumblebee was this emotional, heartfelt teen coming of age story, right? About a girl in her car. And I think they're trying to push that with these new Transformers movies now. So whatever they have with Beast Wars, they're a little nervous about it.
I know that, but we had a Super Bowl commercial for Beast Wars.
That's true.
We just got a new trailer that came out last week. I feel I will say closer we get to
the Super Bowl trailer was before the Super Bowl, though.
It's still in the Super Bowl. Still Super Bowl day.
Cheapest spot.
It still counts. Still counts. I feel like the closer that we get to release it, the more it's going to be promoted. I mean, I've seen the new toy line out. So I haven't bought any Transformer toys yet because I'm waiting.
Do you know what this is? Bernie says this was his favorite from the show.
Yeah, dude. Listen, I know you said who the fuck are those, but the Maximals were the good Transformers, and the Predacons were the bad Transformers. All right, I'm just saying, sort of like Decepticons and Autobots.
Okay.
All right.
That's all I know. That's all I know. I never watched. I don't think they had an iteration of the cartoon. Maybe they did.
They did.
I don't know. Was there a new iteration of the cartoon?
I don't know about a new iteration. I know it was like early to mid 90s when Beast Wars came out.
Okay.
So you probably got, because that was so popular. You probably got. Do you remember like BeetleBots, or there was like a cartoon about fucking these robots that turn into beetles?
I don't remember that. I remember Bionicle. Bionicle was big when I was a kid. Like everybody had Bionicles, and they were kind of like these Transformer things. You buy them in a little box and stuff. Okay, what's y'all's current top 3 movies of the year? Oh, Gabe, go ahead.
My top 3, it's very easy. It's really funny because it makes no sense, right? But Air right now so far is my number 1. John Wick, number 2, and then Evil Dead Rise is like 3. It just did a number on me. Evil Dead Rise, and then Guardians of the Galaxy is 4, just for.
It's still fresh.
It's still fresh.
I feel like for me that can go up to. I think Air is also my number 1. Right. Air is my number 1. I thought Air was just a perfect adult drama.
I'll put Creed to give you my top 5. Creed is 5th, and I think all those movies on my letterbox, I gave them all 5 stars.
Yeah, those are all great movies. Great movies. I agree. I agree with you. I would if you're doing like top 5, I guess I'll do it. I'm trying to think. I'll work down because I feel like I know number 1 for sure has got to be Air. I feel like Air is that good. I would do Air. John Wick has action that I've never seen in a movie. I'd probably put that in number 2 just for the sake of it. Number 3, Guardians as of now, I think, just because of how much I love those characters, but it could move up. I feel like it could. Right.
I'm going to see it again Thursday, so it might move up my list.
It could move up. And then Evil Dead, which I really fucking enjoyed. I really fucking enjoyed Evil Dead. And then what else has fucking been out?
You got Creed, Scream.
Oh, Creed. I would do Creed. And then hanging around at 6, Dungeons and Dragons, which I really like. But that would be if I had to rank it. Those top 3,
6.
Air being clear in number 1.
Right.
Air was really. I mean, it was good.
Air was really good.
What really burns my ass about Rise of the Beast is how we don't got no damn Predacons. Okay, that's it. That's all. You would know about that stuff, Gabe. I didn't even know there was other kinds of Transformers besides Autobots and Decepticons.
For sure, bro. There's a whole bunch of Transformers.
But I got nothing else, man. I mean, anything else you want to add before we start closing up?
No. I hope that if you're watching this before this movie comes out, go watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. It is just that good. I feel like that's why Marvel released it early for a lot of people.
I think so.
Is to get that word of mouth going, because usually, and I know that I've done early screenings, you get like they all don't allow cell phones in. They put a thing at the screen and they're like, don't share this, don't review it, don't put up anything about it before this date. And like as soon as we went to the theater, this lady stood up and she was like, "Listen, make sure you tweet about this, write it on social media, talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, make sure you put Guardians of the Galaxy out there." So they really want good word of mouth, and I can tell you, it's that good. it's worth your time.
No, I agree. I think the between this and I think last year we've had so many comic book movies come out. I really loved the Batman, and this is the first one since then that I've loved. I've actually loved in over a
Lies.
year.
He liked Morbius too.
I did not like
Jay,
Morbius.
we didn't get an Oppenheimer trailer with our Guardians 3.
We did not.
We got nothing but Disney. I got nothing but Disney trailers.
It was all Disney trailers. Which is weird. They never do trailers at these screenings, but whenever Disney does screen their stuff, which is rare, I've only been to a few early screenings of Disney's movies, like The Jungle Book, and it was the same thing with The Jungle Book. They only put Disney trailers. So that was the same thing here for this event, which is, again, like, you guys keep an eye out for those things because those are free. You just got to wait in line. But yeah, I really loved the movie. I thought it was well worth the wait of like 6 years now, however long. It was awesome. It was a great time. Go out and see it. If you've been off the Marvel train, hop back on, at least for Guardians.
At least
3.
for this one.
At least for this one. And like, you got to do it. And it looked beautiful. Like, honestly, it looked great in IMAX. It looked really fucking good. Like most movies in IMAX, I feel like don't look that great because they're not shot for IMAX.
This one was shot for IMAX.
This one looks like it was shot for. Like, it looks really good.
Yeah. We're not just blowing smoke up it just because we saw it early. Trust us. If we came out like fucking hating this movie, you guys would have known. Like,
yeah.
Oh, we hated this movie, we didn't dislike it, but no, it was everything that you wanted in a Guardians movie and then some.
Yeah.
Bring some napkins, bring some extra napkins, just because if you cry at movies like I do, you're gonna shed some tears.
Yeah, I was shedding some tears. I'm not gonna lie. But Oppenheimer, I'm really excited for that. I think it looks visually stunning, and then I think it's I'm gonna do a double feature between that and Barbie for sure. Full day at the movies.
Barbie, anyway, I bet you Barbie does $1 billion too.
I bet I wouldn't be shocked. I feel like it's got the juice. For some reason, it's doing.
Did you just
well
watch Juice with Tupac recently? Because the past couple of weeks you've been talking about it's got the juice. It got the juice.
It's my new thing.
Did you watch Juice? Have you ever watched Juice?
I have watched Juice. I watched Juice and Poetic Justice with Tupac. He also did it. There was another cop movie he did.
Gridlocked with James Belushi.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know all the movies Tupac has done. I'm a Tupac guy.
But it's OJ, he had the juice. But anyway, thank you guys for watching tonight. This was a lot of fun. Go see Guardians. Come back here, and then maybe we'll do. I don't know.
Squeeze the juice.
Yeah, make sure you got the juice. But we will see you next time. Thanks for the questions. That was a lot of fun, and we'll see you next week. See you guys.
All right.